Welcome to the Deconstructing Data live stream and podcast. I'm Jesse Ouellette, CMO at BDEX, along with David Finkelstein, BDEX's CEO and founder. What's new, David?
Hey, Jesse. Man, I am like itching to talk about like all this top secret stuff we got going on, but I want to talk about it so bad, but I can't. So
I know we've got some good stuff. Yeah, I'm excited about it. And we've got a really fun guest today. A really awesome community that we're both a part of. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about that, but we've got some other great topics too. So let's just go ahead and bring him in. We're thrilled to welcome on Jesse Ouellette, founder of LeadMagic. Hey, Jesse.
Hey, good to see you both. How are you guys doing today?
Yeah, good. Great to have you back on the show again, Jesse. But what we're going to ask you to do is sort of kick us off for those of our viewers and listeners that don't know who you are for some reason. Would love for you to give your little backstory, who you are, and obviously what led you to build LeadMagic and what you guys are doing today.
Sure. Yeah. So Jesse Ouellette here, founder of LeadMagic. I'm from the sales side of the world. Started out as a BDR, went up the ranks, field sales, frontline manager to, or then it ended up crumbling down pretty fast there, and everything came to a screeching halt. Fired, as you'd imagine, and then I came back, and you always come back stronger, I guess, is the way to do it. But decided to go more agency, lead generation, and then really pivoted over towards the SaaS world. I like the agency, but I wanted to start building software and with all of the different AI technologies out there, it's become a lot easier. So I've sort of adopted the YOLO, let's build it, let's ship it. It might break a little bit, but let's ship it anyways kind of mindset here. So that's where we're at right now.
Love that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So love the journey conversation, but we're going to jump right in because we're going to talk about something that is really sort of top of mind. A lot of people are talking about these days. And Jesse, I think the topic is one. Isn't that the second topic?
Oh, want to do the first topic here? This one?
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, visitor identification.
There we go.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of talk about this lately. A lot of people are doing it. A lot of people are trying to do it, turning anonymous visitors into leads, which I know that you're very deep into that business. So I'd love for you to kick it off for us and talk to us about what you're doing, what you're seeing in the industry, maybe, some sort of case studies. Would love to hear about some success stories there, the works.
Yeah, so we started out really more in B2B visitor, like the account level, like a Clearbit or like that, and then we were doing that like as an offering on our agency. We weren't like full blown SaaS on it, if you will, but we did that. And I also think, by the way, if anybody didn't catch, I know Henry Schuck had an opinion on this yesterday, which was quite interesting actually. I was very surprised he went that hard on it, but obviously, it's going to impact his business because he's going to have a hard time doing that too. But really what it comes down to is, how do we figure out who's on our website, right? Is it the company? There's ways to do it as a company identification. And then, as you all know, there's now tools out there to do it really. I mean, the tools have there's always been a way to do it, right? If you know, right, David? But, it's like what's changed is now those tools are sort of publicly available more. There's a good distribution of those tools out there, and they've all got sort of their own ways to do it, their own accuracy levels. And, it's really interesting too, because there's obviously a little bit of a European problem for this topic right now. So, and it's getting more interesting because if you know who's on your website, you can call them. So it's getting fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know that you're working with a lot of companies that are doing this. Obviously, I am as well. I'd love to sort of dig in a little bit more if you have any statistics about what you've seen how customers have succeeded with it. I think
Yep.
that our viewers and listeners would love to hear that. It'd be really helpful.
I'll tell you, it's funny. I've been on this journey for a little while on this identification thing. I got on it really early on when I was a sales rep. I would get like the WordPress logs and just do like an ASM match on the companies. And I'd be like, because everybody else was like picking their accounts by like, no name brands and things like that. As a rep, though, I was, this is 10 or 15 years ago. I was picking my accounts based on who was visiting our website, right? That nobody was calling. That was a target, good ICP account. So that was like the starting point for me.
Oh no, did we lose him?
Oh, we got audio issues, Jesse.
You there, Jesse? Oh, the internet.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. I'm just in between the Wi-Fi stuff. So, okay. Can you hear me now?
There we go. Yep.
We hear you now. Chris Hardy,
Sorry
hey.
Basically, just like I would use the WordPress logs from the WordPress from our website, and I would figure out what companies were on our site. So that's how I started as a rep doing this, and then I just kind of reversed that and kept doing it myself, and that helps a lot. So as a rep, what accounts are on your site. It's better to call them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we've been doing it for a while in a combination of both cookies and non-cookie identifiers, which makes it pretty powerful. If somebody even has cookies turned off, we can do a pretty good job of identifying who's at the website. Then it comes down to all the data enrichment and what can you attach to that to help make sure, like you said, this is a person that falls within your ICP so that you can enter them into your funnel. So yeah, we've seen a lot of success with it. In fact, we have clients that are using it for direct mail as well. We're identifying consumers going to website for some pretty big brands, actually. And then, working with a couple of companies that are then sending them, card in the mail or whatever with some sort of offer, trying to get them back to the site. So yeah, it's amazing some of the things you can do.
Yeah, and I think what I think people do wrong. I'll tell you where I see people failing when they do it. They will just hand the leads to like they're sort of like lower level salespeople who are newer at the job. But
Yikes.
I think really what you got to be careful of is you got to try to get it to your top people in your company, like your executives, and really, because they're going to be a little bit different. They're probably going to understand the customer journey a little bit better. And that's where I see a lot of people really failing when they're scaling this problem. You know what I mean? They sort of get it to their low level people first. I think that's a big problem because now you're just like, you're kind of a creep. You're like, you were on our website, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, we literally instruct people, don't do that. Like I've had so many great conversations with people where I've seen them on my website and I'll go and I'll just link with them on LinkedIn, and then they'll message me. And I won't even say anything. I'll just link them with them, and they'll message me, and they'll be like, "Oh, I'm so glad you reached out. I was just on your website. That's so cool."
That's what you want to do. That's
what a great coincidence.
Like what, like from both of you, since like you guys are the gurus on visitor identification. Like for someone like me in marketing, we want to go out and we want to run these campaigns with this data. We see like, what's the best thing we could be doing right now? What's the best way to reach out to them? Looks like Jesse froze. Or he's thinking really hard.
Yeah.
I'll try to help. Can you guys hear me better now?
Yeah.
Go ahead. You hear the question?
So basically, like what I do the best for that is if you sort of tap on their profile a little bit, like you comment on their profile, that helps a lot. Engage. One of the moves that this is a sort of tactic that I don't really tell many people, but it works really well. We will look for a really low engaged post that they made by one of their executives. So we'll go into Sales Navigator and we'll look at like one of their posts that they made several months back or like whatever. And we'll go back in time and sort of like comment on that in a really genuine way, not like fake. Don't use like bots there. That's not a good place for them. But doing it in a really good, genuine way and getting them to sort of like realize, wow, because that's actually the best place to get through to your buyers, right? And if you can do that, you can really make a difference.
Yeah, I love that.
That's a great suggestion. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Talk about dark social. Love those types of hacks.
Yeah.
Anyone else in the comments? Yeah, like I want to know what other people are doing once you get the data, like what's the next step? David, like what do you see out there? You said direct mail. I haven't heard that one.
Oh yeah. I'm telling you, we have our pixel on probably about 200, brands that are brick and mortar brands. I'm talking about like furniture stores. I'm talking about airlines. I'm talking about all kinds of crazy stuff. That works really well with brick and mortar. Works really well with e-commerce as well. Yeah, direct mail. But you gotta, but to Jesse's point earlier, like you have to do it right. Like you have to know who are the right people to send to. You're not going to send it to everybody. You're going to send it maybe to certain people that have taken certain actions, but maybe haven't gone all the way through. Made the purchase or whatever, but they've shown some interest. They've taken some action, and then you want to make sure that they fit that ICP. Like, is this somebody that's realistically going to buy from me? And then you just want to, you're not sending them a piece of the mail that says, hey, we saw you were at our website. You're sending them just something random that says, hey, how about 10% off if you come, or whatever it is, or send them something about a product that that they're going to like, because that's the product category they were looking at. It doesn't even have to be a discount. It just has to be like, hey, we have this in blue.
Love it. Yeah.
I'll tell you sort of another thing too that's really helpful is like you get the fingerprint going, right? Record sort of like this, you obviously do this.
Oh no.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we lost you for a sec, but yeah.
You then will go and you'll basically just do you'll kind of record the screens that they're on, right? Like the post hoc or one of those. That really helps a lot too, because then you can understand like why they're there, right? You can give them a better experience.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah, absolutely.
So good. Anything else either of you would add on visitor identification before we go on to the next topic?
I mean, I could talk about it all day, but we have other
topics. I know, right? Yeah, I mean, obviously this is the one I wanted to get to since I put it up first, which was B2B to B2B to B2C matching. So bridging the data gap. Let's talk about this a little bit. Jesse, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, so I think it's just one of these things where you've now seen with our B2B and obviously the Sixth Sense drama that sort of started it. But now if you look at like what's been going on, it's just getting a little bit more interesting, because now there's hundreds of these people that have like sort of built that, and they all have like a different level of accuracy. But I mean, if you're trying to choose between the tools, I mean, I think you got to choose the one. It's not one or the other. Like you could, if you become, I don't even think they're that competitive against each other.
Yeah. I think we lost him again.
We're losing Jesse again. But yeah, I think to Jesse's point, I've seen a number of companies use them sort of in a waterfall. You can have 2 or 3, because they're not, you're not necessarily you're going to have different match rates. You're going to have different accuracy rates. So why not have more than one if it can improve, the outcome?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's really pretty cool what's going on out there too. And like a lot of them are using some of the same back-end technology too, which is also very interesting. And some of them are even sharing providers too, as you know. So it's like really understanding that. But really it's going to become a B2C. The B2C world is going to really it's going to be the same in B2B. I mean, it's going to end up going to the same place.
Yeah, I mean, most of our clients actually currently in the B2C space. We have a lot of, and that's why I was saying, like, we work with these brands that are e-commerce and direct DTC and brick and mortar as well, because we do work with a lot of B2C brands, and they're seeing really good success with it. So I think it's a good thing. I mean, look, the reality is it's helping people, and it's not just helping those companies reach the right people, and sort of retarget to them, but it's helping those individuals also, because they're getting the benefit from it, because in a lot of cases they're getting, offers sent to them, they're getting, discounts, or they're getting some sort of value out of it. And it's retargeting. It's something that they're obviously interested in. So, we're not talking about invading in anybody's privacy. It's more about, being able to retarget brands that people are actually interested in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just say, as a B2B marketer, what comes to mind for me, which is a huge frustrating point in B2B data, is the location. You get an IP and it's just like the business address.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can match B2B and B2C data, for example, then we could get the actual individual's address to send someone, say, a postcard or a gift or something like that. But like, what would be some other like use cases in the B2B world that a B2B marketer might consider? What would you think, Jesse?
I think really what it is if you can find.
Oh, and Jesse keeps freezing up on us.
Well,
Jesse, try leaving your video off, and maybe we can just.
Thing is going to be important. You can find 2 to 3 people at a company that are all part of a group. That's where you can really you change the world really with your sales organization. Like the GTM strategy there is like finding a few people at the same company, try to map why they're on your site, what they're visiting, and if the story makes sense, it's pretty obvious at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're finding multiple people within the buyer group, that's a huge signal. Absolutely. It's super valuable signal.
Yeah. And I think even like, there's signals that are B2C based signals, and then there's B2B. Like, you're going to give your browser is pretty bad about giving out information around the internet. And, I actually would rather just tell everybody that I'm on their website, to be honest with you, which is kind of weird because I want a better experience on a website. I mean, and you find out pretty quick that just calling people that are on your website isn't really a great plan either. Really, it's actually better to let them kind of, if you were running a retail store, you wouldn't just like attack them and start sending, your lowest experienced salespeople at them on a hard outbound like that. That wouldn't be the best buyer journey, and I think that's what's really important.
And there's probably a lot of that going on. I mean, I might even be a little guilty of seeing some of that myself, because like you just don't know what to do. You start to get this data, and then you're like, what am I supposed to do? So you hand it to the SDRs, right?
Yeah, it's a really good point, actually, because if you think about it, it's like what happens is all of a sudden they start getting all this data in about who's coming to their website, and what happens? They just jump on it. They're like eager. They're like, oh, let's go get them, and you don't want to choke them out, right? Like
the move is to never actually call them. Actually, what you do is the opposite. You run ads, and you start running ads at that company on like LinkedIn, brand ads. If you can pivot to the brand ads, the more organic ads where you don't really realize that's the move right now that's working. So if you can see that you got an executive on your site, then you run a bunch of brand ads about posts about your founder.
So just like LinkedIn retargeting ads, like branded retargeting ads.
Yeah. So if one person at the company is interested, it's an executive, you've identified it. Don't give it to your SDRs. Actually, don't give it to your cold email people. Don't give it to your phone number. Don't give them the data, and take that account and block it off. Do the exact opposite of.
I hear what he's saying, like block it off from the sales team, block it off.
Absolutely. No, I agree with that 100%. Like you want your most experienced people, especially, at what he's saying is if it's an executive.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times the executive is doing research that, they're more inclined to want to engage with another executive than have somebody selling them.
Right.
Yeah. So I do that all the time. Like I'll take our highest profile potential customers and I'll be reaching out directly to an executive, on their team. And a lot of times it's just reaching out. It's just, to Jesse's point earlier, commenting on one of their posts, linking with them, whatever it is, just to have a conversation. Like I'm not selling them, I'm just linking with them. I'm just commenting with it, on what and I'm having a conversation with them. And the longer we have this conversation, as we begin to sort of get to know each other, the questions start to come from their side. Like, oh, maybe you can help me with this problem. Oh, okay, maybe we can. That's people don't understand how powerful that actually is.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's really powerful.
Darn internet. So Jesse just sounds like moved and is on some interesting Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
But I don't know, in terms of B2B to B2C matching and bridging the gap, anything else you think we should cover here, David?
I mean, the only other thing is just there's sort of this data gap as well, right? Because and Jesse, you said it earlier. It's like you want to reach out to the the consumer, even though you're B2B, you want to reach out to the person, right? And so if you know who the person is, the company, sometimes having their personal information, their home address, depending on the product, you might want to send them something, or even their personal email address is something that's necessary. So a lot of times or the other way around, we may only know their personal email address because we matched that to, via cookies or whatever, that they came to the website. But we need to match that to their B2B data, right? So now you have a personal email, you need to match it to who is this person? What's their LinkedIn profile? What's their work email? And so there's a sort of this gap between the different types of data going from their personal email to their business information, work email, and LinkedIn profile that is often difficult to do as well. And so, that's one of the challenges I think a lot of these visitor identification companies and stuff are trying to solve as well, us included.
Yeah, I was just saying, and I heard everything you guys said too on that. The download's working well, it's the upload. But it's basically just a real approach to getting your top executives to prospect, where it's always been an SDR. I think we took the wrong path with getting the most junior people to reach out to the most senior people. I think that's the wrong path.
Definitely agree with that.
So,
yeah.
And it's really, you got to protect these, because remember, you're not going to generate a lot of these leads, right? These are like senior level executives. They really don't want to talk to your most junior people. Maybe people are going to be annoyed by this, but you're going to burn chances, right? If you put them on with your newest, most inexperienced salespeople, nothing against those people, but that's just not a really good business decision, right? And people are probably going to hate me for this, but like, sorry, it's just not great. I don't want to talk to your like most junior levels SDR. I hope they do well. I'm nothing against those people, but like, just stop calling me. Like, I want to get on your top executives, right? I want to feel important or like whatever. That's what everybody wants. They're just not willing to say it like publicly, but that's what everybody wants anyways.
100%.
Yeah, I agree completely. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a good reminder. I'll be honest, like that's something, I've brought on some commission sellers and just set them free on the CRM and didn't even think about stuff like this. So yeah, this is great. But in terms of what was that?
You got to be like surgical about it, because you figure the average company is only going to get a certain amount of leads in, right? They're only going to get certain leads, some companies, and they're not going to they don't give you a second chance.
That's true. It's hard to get through even the first time. But anything else on B2B to B2C matching, Jesse, that you want to add before we transition on to storage and cloud computing?
Yeah, I think just it's a really good time. I mean, if you can get your privacy right and you can get your legal right and your company, the smaller companies actually have a massive opportunity right now. Obviously, the bigger companies are always going to have their own little legal challenges, but if you can get really good at this as a smaller company, you can just dominate, right? This is like
Mm,
there's never been a better time for this.
mm,
Yeah,
yeah,
agree. Yeah, absolutely. There's just so many tools out there to help you do this now.
interesting. So let's go into massive storage. And I, instead of showing the topic, of course, I accidentally deleted it. So I'll just say, so, massive storage and cloud computing, looking into the future. Jesse, could you kick us off on this?
Yeah, so I think you can store now, like if people don't really realize this, you can store now like I mean, just with Glacier and like all the Amazon stuff like out there, right? You can just store an unreasonable amount of data for nothing. So the companies that figure this out are going to be the ones that lead the pack. I mean, the ones that get their buyers fingerprinted early and they're not just like turning the data. I mean, the ones that just take a simple approach, let's just get this to our sales team. Like I think that's where people are going wrong right now. And when you're looking for marketers, you really want to find the ones that really understand this. And I think you're going to start to see a lot more of these like more technical marketers start to really succeed because it's really hard. I know the premise of the show, but it's like really hard to succeed without being an expert in some of these data topics.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's never the cost of storing and processing data has never been lower, right?
Right.
It's insane the amount of data. Like that, I mean, look at all of the AI products you have today. Like none of these things could have been done 5 or 10 years ago. Like the volume of data that needs to be stored and processed would be so cost prohibitive. But now anybody can do it. Like, boom, go on AWS and open account, store your data. It's like, I mean, you can store petabytes of data for, an amount of money that you could never have done before. And like we're talking about, it's insane. Like I have a client, for example, and now they have a ridiculous amount of data. Like and because of some FTC requirements, they're required to store data for years. I think they have 3 years of data, so their storage costs are like $200,000 a month. So it's like insane, but it sounds like a lot. But the amount of data that they're storing is so insane that it physically would have been impossible to do just a few years ago.
Yeah, that's what's really crazy. And I worked in the big data space for a number of years with helping Fortune 500 companies, bring on Hortonworks, which is the Hadoop platform. Probably remember that, David. But
Yeah.
now a lot of them are using Snowflake and Databricks. Of course, a lot of my friends are working over there. But just watching what these companies were doing it was impressive. And the ones that really you could tell they were really going the right path, a lot of them were going away from Hortonworks, which was actually probably the better path because of the cloud side of it, right? But yeah, it's pretty incredible what some of these companies are doing with it and continuing to do with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's going to get it, as we see, the trend will continue. It will get cheaper. And
Yeah.
as it gets cheaper to store and process data, we'll be able to do even more with it, which is like hard to even fathom. Like it's really, really difficult to seriously think about what this industry will look like 5 years from now. 5 years seems like a lifetime.
What do you both think it'll look like?
God, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I for one, when you look at everything, how easy it is to build applications now through vibe coding, you're going to be able to build massive databases like that as well. And so, I mean, I don't know. I can't even fathom it. It's going to be crazy. I know for one thing, and we do a lot in the advertising space, like working with ad networks, with our identity graph. I don't think I think that all ad targeting in the future is just going to be AI driven. It's just going to be like the platform figures out what ads to target to you. Like it just knows because of everything else, every other ad that you've engaged with, and it just knows. Like you don't need to figure out how to target your ads. Like it'll just do it, And I think that's in real time, and because of like a constant flow of data and analysis that will be going on.
Yeah, it's going to be impressive there. I think you're right on the AI thing. I think also you're going to have a harder time figuring out, obviously, like even the movie industry is dealing with it, but like you're going to have a harder time figuring out like what's like testimonials are going to be interesting. Because like you're already seeing a lot of these companies are starting to use like, they're like, we don't even need to pay these people anymore, so I think brand and ethics are going to be even more important, right? Like people you trust. Brands aren't going to have many chances. Like, you might have a brand get completely just canceled for something, and nobody will ever go back because of they might have used AI in the wrong way. I think you got to be super protective there. Things like
or
that.
Someone else uses AI and targets them.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of like bad actors there. Like, did somebody really say that? That'll be dangerous.
There's like vibe hacking is a thing now. I was reading about it. I don't know, was it LinkedIn news? Now it's like vibe coding. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
You got to be careful out there.
Yeah. It'll become too easy for everybody to become a hacker, right? Or a fraudster or whatever it is.
Yeah. So you got to keep the good cops up with the bad cops, as always with technology. Oh man, it's going to be interesting. So we have to make sure we hear about your tech stack, though, Jesse. This is something I know we've done it before with you on the show, but we ask every guest before they leave the show, what are your favorite tools in your tech stack? Are you ready? Are you able to share any secrets?
Right now, I love Cursor. I'm using Cursor a lot. I'm using it with Claude Code too. There's a little bit of it kind of got me. Claude Code got me recently with that. And then I'll tell you my favorite. I haven't even talked about this tool ever. Actually, David, you've probably used it. DuckDB.
No, I haven't used that. No.
There's something about it that just. So if you mix DuckDB with Cursor, it is light. It's an analytical database, and it's really good locally. Like so I'll just run it as like a SQL. I'll get the CSVs pumping out of my database, and then it's like so good at just. DuckDB is just like the best database technology right now. I'm loving DuckDB.
That's something we got to check out.
Yeah, check out DuckDB if you're a data person and you really like fast you can take a CSV that's like just 200 300 gigabytes and just go right through it with an LLM and just do whatever you want. Like it's total freedom of data. Cool. And it's really nice. I really like it. Loading, exporting, moving around, whatever. And if you couple it with an LLM, it's really dangerous. Like you can do it, it becomes super smart. It's like really cool what you can do with it.
Awesome. Good to know. All right.
Yeah, we got to check that one out for sure.
I won't talk about this again on any other podcast ever because I'm going to save it for your show. But DuckDB and Cursor that's my jam right now.
Those are your jam right now. What about like any like other splinter AI tools that
Open Router.
I use that.
I refresh the models page almost 3 times a day just to see a little bit of an edge somewhere.
Yeah.
I install every update on Cursor. So the second an update comes out, I stop everything I'm doing and test it. Let's see what other things. I do like Claude Code. I got to be honest. I really do like it. I like it for certain use cases. It's really cool. Shad CX.
What was that? Shot what?
There's a guy, he's sort of famous now, Shad CN.
Okay.
He's he built he took the React UI Radix, which is kind of hard to use, and he made it like super easy to build UI components, like really cool ones, and vibe code it, like. So if you know Shad CN, you'll probably see a little bit of it on my websites. You'll be like, wow, that's really good UI, but Shad CN.
Wow.
Cool.
Wow. Okay, cool. I'll have to check
I don't
that
want
one
to
out.
tell all the secrets here, but I mean, this
Yeah,
is a good show.
I know we love your secrets, Jesse. I'll have to check all of these ones out. I mean, any others you're willing to share? Otherwise, I mean, would you want to?
Right now, I'm on the 4.1.
The 4.1.
4.1 Sonnet million token. So I like I like having the token, the context, like I like the million token context, because you can do some pretty cool stuff. Like, you don't have to worry about it as much. You can kind of like just go crazy with it. I like the other one I like is Tiny Bird.
Tiny Bird. I haven't heard of that one either.
Yeah.
What does this
Tiny
one do?
Bird is really good for like streaming analytics and like taking data in fast. And I really like Cloudflare now. Cloudflare is
For sure
on another level of quality, and we're switching everything over to Cloudflare.
Yeah, we just did a bunch of stuff over there too for our Pixel.
10 million API calls a month for free.
Wow. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Like free internet right now. Everything is free on the internet.
Yeah, it's definitely all this all this AI, all this vibe coding is really driving prices down for sure.
It's
the race to zero, right?
Yeah, definitely.
It's like you can distribute it the fastest in the fastest, SaaS Yacht Club kind of thing.
Yeah. Which, speaking of the SaaS Yacht Club, I just got a message in there that the overall video feed keeps doing this black and white flickering in and out. So hopefully LinkedIn can get it together. I always suggest just refreshing.
My video got fixed actually halfway through. I'm going to tell you, I think it's been fixed for the last at least 20 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, well, better now, but yeah. But
all right.
Sometimes it's LinkedIn.
In closing, Jesse, would you like to let listeners know how they could reach you or your business? Because I know you're very unreachable after the show.
LinkedIn is the best right now. I'm all about logos too. That's the other thing. Clearbit's getting rid of their logo.
Really? Why? No logo.
You know they got that, David? The logo thing?
No.
Yeah, the logo thing.
Yeah, but they're getting rid of their logo?
You know how they have the Clearbit logo thing where you can get like the logos in Clearbit?
Oh, yeah.
They're getting rid of this. This is going away.
I wonder why.
I think it has to do with HubSpot doesn't want to deal with it. But we created our own. So we created our free logo maker.
I saw that.
We're just going to give it away, of course, and nothing's easier than just giving stuff away. And I vibe coded this out pretty quickly. You can tell it's probably broken right now, but it's
very cool.
That's what I would say.
Jeffrey Ram's asking, "What is this?" This is a LinkedIn Live, Jeffrey Ram. And I can't help but wonder, are you a bot, Jeffrey Ram, or tell us more about you? Why are you here? How did we pop up on your feed? Thank you for sharing that, Jesse, and how people can find you and all the awesome stuff you're doing. It's been a pleasure having you back on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Jesse.
Next time, I promise I'll come with more internet connection. I'm sorry about this. This is definitely an oversight by me.
All right, we're gonna hold you to that one. We'll have you back on the show with a better internet, or with a super lightning fast internet.
Absolutely.
Definitely. All right, awesome. Thanks again, Jesse, for joining us on the show today. And I'm gonna let Jesse Ouellette close this out.
And that I will do. I'm going to put a QR code on the screen for those watching on video. But of course, if you're on podcast, on audio, just go to beadex.com. But we want to invite you to get powered by Beadex. So Beadex is the industry's leading identity graph in the trusted foundation powering some of the top ad tech and martech platforms across the ecosystem. I mean, you heard us talking about B2C data right now, and we are the ones out there powering a lot of it. Our comprehensive identity resolution drives results across every channel, from precision in ad targeting and website visitor retargeting to retargeting, yes, and direct mail. We've got lead generation. We're turning anonymous website visitors into actionable customer intelligence, much like we were talking about today. So whether you're looking to enhance your targeting accuracy or, recover abandoned carts or scale lead generation efforts, or just maximize your performance across your digital and your offline channels, then Beadex can help. We've got the most accurate identity resolution, and we're helping people improve their return on ad spend by cleaning up their data. So do that with the best data out there. We eliminate bots and bad data and waste your marketing budget just can't handle. So we want to provide the real verified audiences that drive your ROI. So just join the leading platforms that you can find on beadex.com to power your success. And thanks again, Jesse, for joining. We hope to have you back on the show again. All right. And Jeffrey, we hope you figure it all out. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Appreciate you, man.